Hey, listeners, welcome back to Live with Irene Stories. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. If you are dropping by for the first time, don't touch this dial. And to my avid fans, thank you so much for continuing to follow me and listening to the sister podcast, The Canadian Side Hustle and Business, where you get tactical tips to build sustainable businesses through the stories of fantastic Canadians in business. Now, of course, to my global crew right here listening, my goal is to provide you with great value in this season 4. I hope that you got a chance to listen to the last 4 episodes, including Nancy and Ketki from India, Astrid from Vienna, Australia, and Lauren from Texas, USA. In today's episode, you're going to hear from a fantastic techno-savvy woman, Ruxandra Dariescu, living in the UK. She is a sustainable business performance coach at Rux Dariescu Coaching. She is an award-winning, inspirational business coaching mentor, also a biochemist scientist with over 25 years in leading business roles. Rux has transformed organizations and designed as well as managed high-performing teams. Over the years, she's created over 10 software platforms from idea to execution. She's done a lot in the tech field, and you are going to get to know all about her. Now, the premise for today's episode, the question you need to ask: how do you unlock the collective productivity of your team? Listeners, if you're here, I want you to do one thing for me. Hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, or on your favorite audio player. I do not want you to miss an episode. This is Live with Irene Stories, and I'm your host, Irene Russell. Now let's get this started. Welcome, Ruxandra.
Thank you very much for having me, Irene.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on because with your vast experience in the technology world, I know that you have so much to share with our audience, and they're going to get so much wisdom and golden nuggets from you throughout the time that we spend together here. So I'm super excited.
Thank you very much. I'm also excited to share with the world, and hopefully everybody will find the same nuggets as as I did.
All right, awesome. So let's get our listeners a little bit acquainted with you. Who is Ruxandra, and how did you become the woman that you are today?
That's a very simple question with not such a simple answer, but my journey started in Romania, where I was born, and I think I spent more than 2 decades now in the UK, and I am really grateful for having had the chance so far to live through 2 different cultures that shaped me and helped me choose all the good things from both. I've as a little girl, I dreamt of becoming a doctor, but I've never pursued that because I've just seen an accident in the street once, and I thought I cannot help people that way. So I've made a career switch and studied biochemistry, and I loved it. And it helped me deep dive into understanding how we function as human beings. But I was attracted by the world of technology, which was up and coming in those days. And I spent the past almost 25 years working in the technology world. And that opened me to travel to about 35 countries and accumulate experience of differences and really starting to appreciate what that means. And also understanding how people in different countries have different ways of expressing their passions. So that for me is one of the things that I appreciate the most and helped me shape who I am right now, an appreciation for differences and helping also shaping my life philosophy.
That is
And based on
excellent. I can see that we're going to be unpacking a lot in this episode. 35 countries.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, my work took me around the world. And it's just a glimpse in how much the world has to offer us. But it really helped me. Um, it taught me to look out for the beauty in the things I'm seeing. Um, and even where they weren't necessarily beautiful aesthetically, you always can find something good there. So that shaped my one of my three things that I consider my life philosophy, to do good work. And from that, I'm kind of tying that in with making positive change. And everything is wrapped in really learning to breathe in this fast paced world that's changing all the time.
Yes,
So,
yes. You're talking about, breathing, which is so
yeah,
important. And, a lot of people are finding that, prior to the pandemic, that they've been on a hamster wheel, working, working,
yeah.
working. And the pandemic, brought everything to a standstill. And now a lot of people are, turning towards meditation, turning inwards, taking it slow, rethinking where they are in life and what they would like to do.
Indeed, indeed. I think the whole kind of staying at home, although not really not doing anything, the staying at home has
Yes.
been a trigger for many people to start looking at life and choice in different ways.
Mhm.
I find that the benefit of the from out of a crisis.
Mhm, mhm. So coming back to your early years, right? You had an incident that occurred and then you decided to focus on technology. Was there an individual who was pivotal in helping to shape your direction as you went into your technology career? A mentor, so to speak.
That's a very good question. I can't say there was one specific individual, but because it was something different from what I studied, which formed my thinking from a scientific point of view, which helped me throughout my business career as well. I think the way I looked at technology was to find a parallel to the things I knew. And I learned very fast that, for example, an internet network or a telecommunications network, it's working in a very similar way to how the nervous system works. And the moment I found that analogy, I have always looked to um, find examples in the natural environment in everything I chose and I learned or I've done in business. Because the natural world, the nature has been there before we were as a business world. Yeah. So
Yes.
that has more wisdom to share with us than we can ever recognize. And that's the part that I think has been my inspiration all the time. There have been many people throughout my career that had influenced my progress or put a stop to my progress, but in the sense that maybe I was on the wrong track and I needed to rethink. And that's not bad. From every single thing, there is a lesson to learn.
Absolutely. You have positive blessings in life, negative blessings in life that turn into positive blessings,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So when we're talking about, some of the different functionalities that you've had, right? So from heading into tech, what are the different areas you've focused on over the years and moving to present day?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think at the time I was necessarily conscious or aware about my choices, but they seemed like in a natural flow and I followed it. I started in product management,
Mm-hmm.
um, and while creating products, I realized that I needed to understand way more about how people I was building the products for are interacting or responding. So I've done a product management and then moved into marketing and product marketing roles to actually experience that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said, okay, now I understand a little bit how the market I talk to is understanding me. Now I want to see how actually we are cooking these things in the kitchen. And I've got involved with understanding how you run software projects rather than just a product roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned the ins and outs of the workings of an engineering function in software development, while not being an engineer and not coding. But all those mechanisms for me were part of a system, and the whole system was aimed and always had to have a purpose. I think the moment I've seen that the purpose was not there anymore, I decided to make career switches. But it's to me, it has been very important to go around the business in all the functions that helped me become a rounded, experienced person.
That's excellent. I'm glad that you talk about, purpose, right? Having a bigger goal, a bigger function within the job, and that was your guiding light, to make you switch careers.
Mm-hmm.
So present day, tell us about what you're doing and what you're creating to make an impact.
Yeah. So to make an impact, you have to really feel the problem and the pain you are trying to address.
Mhm.
So I've drawn on my experience working in the software industry from an angle that has an economical factor as well as a human factor into it, and that is what makes IT services projects fail.
Mhm.
And that's where I focused my question. And as I mentioned, being of a kind of scientific background, I've spent quite a lot of time in observing. Then I researched the problems, then I formulated hypotheses, I tested my experiments, and I've analyzed the results. I looked at how those results could be reported, and I went back to my initial observation to see if I fixed the problem. So, approaching this with this mindset, I decided that I need to find a way of helping businesses um, stop the bleed in IT services projects. Yeah, so trying to solve this problem, I looked at the question, what problem do I exactly solve? And in my research, I found that um, a number of institutions are publishing real numbers about the IT services projects. For example, last month, research and markets.com has published a number that the IT services market is projected to grow by 2026 to $1,123 billion. That's a huge number, yeah?
Yeah.
But for example, financeonline.com and PMI are saying that 22 to 27% of the IT services projects are failing.
Mhm.
So if you take the big number that the market potential is calculated for, $1,123 billion,
Mhm.
and you just lose 20 to 27% out of it, you lose 250 to $303 billion in failed IT services. I mean, we talk billions. Countries invested these numbers in dealing with COVID crisis over, for large populations. I mean, it's to me, it's just a waste. So that brings a lot of unhappiness for the people working in the projects, for the businesses, Some businesses can be going out of the market as a result. So I've created a concept that looks at project delivery from the people's point of view and not from the project plan point of view, where you have tasks and you have a timeline and estimates and all that. The people are those who work on the projects.
Mm-hmm.
If you eliminate the people, there is no project. So my focus is on the people. And I created this concept, which I called deliverability. It's a long word. But when you talk about deliver and ability, I think by definition, it tells you that you have to be able to deliver.
Yes.
And I've looked what are the components that make that happen. And from my research over the years, from my observation in real life environment, and from my trials and errors in life projects, I've designed a mechanism where the whole interaction in the team becomes a play, and you can identify a play pattern, and that allows teams to have indicators for their ability to deliver together. This doesn't work unless you have a purpose and unless you have an objective you want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's the point of coming together if you have no purpose? Yeah?
That's
so
right.
From that point of view, I am focusing on it's like an invitation to the world to benefit from this tooling to help teams deliver better together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on launching a program for coaches and project and program managers to actually understand how this works and put it in practice. But that for me, being involved in coaching and in teaching, it's like a dream coming true. But also for me to be able to stay up to date in the market that evolves so fast. I'm also involved in hands-on consulting work where I help organizations to be ready for AI from the people's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand that while we digitalize and transform everything to become more automatic, we are actually not looking to miss or to skip the soul of the business. So, and that's the people. We move forward together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am today.
Well, that's excellent. You identified a pain in the market through your personal experiences, experimented, and now you've developed a technology that's now open to the world to use, which is
Yes.
awesome. So, for those listeners who are listening to this and they want to find out more, how can they connect on this?
Um, I think if they want to connect to me personally, probably the easiest way to go through is through LinkedIn. They can find me by name is Ruxandra Dariescu, or they can come and visit the website, which is www.theproductschools.com. And it's easy to get in contact. They can also find me on Twitter with the handle prod_school. And let's get the conversation going.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I am sure, listeners, as you're listening to this, that you take a moment to reach out to Ruxandra to find out more about this amazing technology that she's developed. And it's all about people, all about teams working together cohesively to successfully execute on a project, a technology related project. Right, right?
Right. And one of the things for me which was so interesting when I was in a testing phase with a client, and the team was fairly reluctant to work with the tool, because what it means is you have to take a look at yourself and kind of score yourself on your contribution in the tool. team. Because it's transparency, everybody can see that, and you can see each other's scores, and the algorithm behind it is calculating the entire team model. But one of the things was reluctancy to actually put in the scores, and it took about 4 to 5 sessions to go through the motions and to actually explore that as a conversation with the team. In software development, there is, when you apply an agile methodology, there is an activity is called the daily stand-up. And that's where everybody comes in, everybody in the team comes in, and they talk about what they've done and what's the next, if they have any impediments or blockers in their work going forward. And that was the kind of the daily meeting where people would come in and score themselves, and we look at the number, what was the team score at the end. And depending on the number we've got, there was no way we could deliver that. There was a little way we could do it, but we needed to learn way more to be able to do it because it was new and nobody knew how to do that. Or you were on the right path to do it and you knew about the problems and knew how to address them. So there is an indicator there that you could deliver. After a week, the entire team got into the play mode. So we gamified our project. And while we were working together along multiple sprints, coming to an end of a fairly large release, we were in a situation where a part of the team said, no, we can't do it. We can't do it. And it was coming clearly out of the numbers, our indicators to deliver. The deliverability index was very low. And that to me was an example of how a team can come together for a common purpose. Everybody was invested in seeing the numbers going up with every interaction. And when something happened to pull it down, everybody pitched in.
That's
As a
excellent.
result, within 3 days, all the problems were solved. The release was back on track. Everybody was happy, and we had a big party celebrating the success of our project. And then we continued. But it does help a lot in facilitating people interaction, in having the value of each individual recognized. And wherever there is a need for help, it becomes visible and that help comes through. It's not that is going to be ignored and you leave someone behind to fail. It's the team with a common purpose.
That is that's absolutely fascinating, because we all know within teams there are many different types of personalities. Whenever you're working from a start to execution of a project, there's the storming and the norming and the settling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of decisions to make, picking the leader, picking the supporters, so that's a whole process. So it's great that you've developed a tool that can be used to identify some key indicators early on in order to resolve any type of people conflict that may occur throughout the duration of the project. So
Indeed, it does help people find an indicator for how well they come together.
all right.
Hence the tagline, which is choose smart, play together.
That's excellent. So, Ruxandra, you've created this amazing technology which is going to make an impact in the world. Right now, there are many individuals who are looking at what's next, who are looking at either changing industry or starting within the tech industry. What advice would you have for those who are contemplating getting into the technology industry, who have big, bold ideas?
Well, my first thought there is that you have to follow your passion. So if you your passion in a way that technology responds to it, just go for it. Be brave and embrace it. Don't go blindly though. Research a little bit, find out what things mean. And it's well known that many startups failed, and they fail because people don't have sufficient information to start with. But you have to find the right balance. So if you are really passionate about it or just discovering it, talk to people who know about, ask questions. I'm I would be honest, I'm not a big fan of articles that tell you you learn this in 3 steps, do that in 5. People who really do the work, the 3 steps is the conclusion of years of work. It's not a jump. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
journey.
Yes.
So try to understand what was behind the 3 steps, and then you will find your own way in it. For me, for example, to understand technology, I connected back to how the nervous system works. And in those times, AI was not popular, so neural networks were not something that people will talk in technology.
Mhm.
You look at AI these days, everything is neurosciences, neurosciences. Okay, that's great, but what does it mean? Yeah.
Mhm.
Try to find the real meaning behind, and then just spend time imagining how it will work for you. What does it mean? Ask yourself if you can look at your question from a different angle, find perspectives. If you do not find your own perspectives, ask others for theirs. And in every single answer, you will find something to be a hook for you to be able to move forward with one angle. I mean, for me, getting to deliverability, it's a 10 years journey of real work, project failures, project successes, team conflicts, work being done and redone. So it is a journey, but you have to enjoy every step on the way. You feel the pain. The idea is to not consider yourself a victim. You recognize the pain, you cry your eyes out for like a day or two, and then you say, okay, that's it. What did I learn from it? Let's move on. It's don't be afraid to choose again.
I love it. Don't be afraid to choose again. You hear that, listeners? Ruxandra just gave some absolutely golden nuggets there. So definitely rewind and re listen to this advice if you're considering getting into the technology space. All right. So we are going to head into the rapid fire questions now, Roxandra. Are you ready?
Very, very, very. I'm right here.
What puts a pep in your step and a pride in your stride every day?
Whew, I start my day with a personalized routine, I would say. Um, I've read a book of Robin Sharma, who is quite famous for his coaching activity and his global groups and all that. And he said, it's like the 5 a.m. club.
Yes.
Luckily, I wake up at 5 a.m. naturally, so it's not a problem for me. But I'm not belonging to that club organized by groups of 20 minutes. I still go into the motions of, a little bit of exercise, a lot of meditation, and really organizing my day ahead. Being a mom and running a business and being a wife and moving countries and having family all over the place, it forces you to kind of be ruthless with your calendar. So I'm trying to organize myself as much as I can. Not that I would never say I'm a perfectionist. Um, I'm a big believer perfection doesn't exist. You're perfect exactly the way you are. Because if you could have been any other way, you would.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. Makes complete
In this moment, I mean, really. And yeah, I'm starting my day with a little routine.
sense.
It's a bit of exercise. I prefer stretching to any other more strenuous activities,
Hmm.
and I love that. I meditate. either to just leave my thoughts flow freely, or pick a subject and I contemplate over what does it mean. If anything, sometimes I fall asleep again. But I feel that I wake up 5 minutes later with way more energy than I had before. So that's good.
That's excellent. And talking about the energy, we know how music helped to change your vibration. What song do you have on your player that's always coming up?
I honestly try to adapt the music to my mood rather than my mood to the music.
Okay.
And when I work, I listen to ambiental music,
Hmm.
typically a guitar. Um, when I cook, I listen to Latin music
Oh,
because
nice.
it's in the spirit of the sizzles in the pan.
Yes, yes, yes.
um, I have my contemplation Mozart, my favorite song these days. It's a Michael Jackson one, "Heal the World."
Oh,
I
I
think
love
we
that
the
song.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it too. I think the world needs healing, and there are people who forgot about this song, but it's close to me. It does bring memories from my childhood as well. So,
All right. Well,
well, my
that's
teenage years, not quite childhood.
I think for me too, my teenage years, Michael Jackson, that was my go-to guy.
For me
Oh,
specifically, this song has a meaning,
mhm.
and I
Yeah.
think the world needs healing. So.
Well, yeah, especially right now, right? And so, in terms of fitting your mind, what book would you say that you could recommend to our listeners that has really helped to shape or change a direction for you or validate a direction that you're heading into?
Yeah, I was about to say it's more like validation than changing, because there is a long list of things. Kindle is very good at giving me summaries how many books I read a year, and I'm like, oh my God, it can't be me. Sometimes I start the book and I stop it halfway through, and then I go back to it later when my thoughts are settling. I tend to read more on the scientific discovery side than fiction and romance these
Mhm.
days. So my habits changed, but I guess that's because I've been on a research and discovery mode for a few years now.
Yes.
My favorite book today is Helgoland of Carlo Rovelli, who is a theoretical physicist, and he is focusing on the physics of space and time. It's a deep dive into the quantum world. So you go to the minute elements of a nucleus in an atom, and you learn about how the world functions, from the very small ones to the largest parts of the universe. And that to me is fascinating, because I take my inspiration from sciences in how I look at business, and his words are so simple when he talks about complicated science, especially when it's kind of the science that's discovered every single day we live right now. It's the headline of science is quantum mechanics. It's there. Quantum computing, quantum this, quantum that. So to me, that is like the ABCs right now.
Wow, that
I
is
love that.
wow, that's absolutely fascinating. Wow. Okay. So, I really appreciate, you sharing, what grounds you in the morning to set your tone for the day, the music that you enjoy, and of course, this book. And also, I love that you identified a pain in the market and you developed a solution that, the world is invited to participate in. And hopefully, it will solve an issue that they're having within the teams. So we could go on and on talking, Ruxandra, but we have to wind it up now. So if there is one last thing you want to leave with our listeners, one last set of words of wisdom, what would it be?
Words of wisdom. I personally don't have them, but I steal them from others. And one of my favorite person to steal from is Michael Neal, who is a renowned coach. And he said that we live in the feeling of our thinking. So basically, everything we think generates a feeling. And if the feeling is right, you are on the right path. So I want to live in the feeling of my thinking.
All right. Can I get an awesome? Wasn't Ruxandra so fabulous? I know I took some notes from this episode, did you? Definitely. If you love this episode, hit that follow button wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. I do not want you to miss not a single episode. And as well, please do rate and review this podcast if it impacted you, if you got some golden nuggets. I want to know exactly what you think of this episode. And also, if you have suggestions for future episodes or future guests, I would love to hear from you. Send me a note via the podcast website, www.irenerussell.org. Right now, I'm taking in guests on a rolling basis. If you feel you've got an inspirational story to share about your career journey, your business journey, I would love for you. Hit that connect button and pitch yourself to me. If you are a sponsor looking to sponsor an episode or entire season, I would love to hear from you. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. This interview was conducted remotely in my home studio. I am your host, Irene Russell, and this is Live with Irene Stories. I hope that you, yes, you get revived in your current adventure or get super motivated to start your new adventure in 2023. All right.